Morning, everyone. Today I am joined with Sarah. She is a lovely, lovely soul sister friend that I have met over the internet. Hello, Nalini. Hey.
Hi, I just muted myself so
Oh,
the sound on your side is better. So I'm
yeah.
just gonna mute myself again.
Okay. So Nalini, she does this amazing light language art. She channels the most beautiful light language. She is just amazing in so many ways, and we've connected. And one of our very common things we have in common is cacao. So today we are going to be talking about cacao, drinking cacao, and talking about light language and anything else that comes up. So, Nalini, would
Okay,
you
so
like to
as
introduce yourself a little bit?
oh okay, I'm just grabbing cacao now. I forgot about that. My name is Nalini Diosara, and I honestly, if I have to identify what I do, the most simplest term would be the conduit. I'm a conduit, and this to spread into the fact that I paint. I'm a painter. I channel, and I also see myself as a shamanic guide when I hold space for people and going into shamanic journeys. And recently, I just found deep passion and deep soul callings towards shamanism, and the shamanic practices that I embodied, very much like what I've learned throughout the years from Amazonian Peruvian region, as well as Burya Mongolian shamanism, which I feel that is probably closer to my biological lineage because I'm half Chinese, and also what I've learned from the daykeeper or the spiritual guide, an elder, a Mayan elder from Guatemala. So it's very much like soup of what resonate with who I am. So I see myself as a conduit, like trees of extended
Yeah,
branches of what's already exist. So
such a
yeah.
beautiful way to that, and that really resonates with me because when I learned first step on my journey was to learn esoteric healing, and that's how it was explained to us is that we are conduits. So that's always stuck with me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I kind of began with the resonance of the Hermetica and the Kybalion as well, which is branches of esoteric, but I never go too deep in it because it is the path of its own to go really deep
yeah,
into it.
yeah,
But there's a certain resonance within it, yeah.
yeah. But that's the for me that's like the joy and the key is to kind of take little bits from every kind of path, every kind of, and then you find your own way, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
you gotta be yourself at the end.
Well, should we bring our lovely Mama Cacao into our
Thank you.
circle
So,
here?
yeah, so anyone who just met me, Cacao has been part of a teacher, an ally, and companion. So here we agree, thank you to Gemma, agree to share this space with presence of Cacao. So let us bring the cup into our hearts and inviting you all listeners to perhaps place your hands on your chest as well and take deep breaths. Drop into your center. And today, according to the Mayan sacred calendar, Shokin or Sokin is the energy of two Kawok. Kawok, the narwhal or the energy of midwives, the storm, the one that holds space through transitioning of death and rebirth, the storm that purifies, the rain that gives life. So here we invite the energy of Kawok to guide us as well. And thank you, Cacao, for your presence. We call on you and ask for your blessing. Each Cacao, the goddess, the spirit of nurture, the spirit that reminds us of how to live with ourselves, with our community, and with earth in harmony and in gratitude. Ekchwa, a Patreon that protects those who distribute this medicine around the world. We give thanks and we ask for your blessing. And to all the ancestors And the guardians of this medicine in the spirit world, we give thanks and too ask for your blessing. Calling upon Kukumatsu Kukukan, the feather serpent, the consciousness of love, beauty, grace, and gratitude and harmony. Thank you. Inviting you to raise the cup above the crown. Let us tune into heart of the sky, heart of the sun, the moon, and the stars, our celestial guides, our ancestors in the sky. We call on you and we ask for your blessing and we give thanks. Deep breaths and lower the cup down. Connect with heart of the lands where we are. Connect with our roots. And let us send gratitude to the sacred spirit of the lands where we are, and heart of the lands where we are, the lands where we eat and sleep, the lands that hold space for us and support us. And we too call upon the energy of all the sacred sites around the world and ancestors of earth. We give thanks and ask for your blessing. The spirit of the mountain, the trees, the water, the animals, the elementals, and the minerals. We too ask for your blessing and we give thanks. Deep breath into heart of earth. Our mother, our teacher, our provider. Thank you, earth. Thank you. Deep breath into the heart. And let us connect with our heart, as cacao is the medicine of the heart. Kakosita, kakosita. Ishamuririri. Cura cura cuerpocitos. Cura cura espirititos. Ayaririri. And salute. Cheers. How is it?
So for our listeners, this is the first time for me trying a different kind of cacao. It is so different.
It is.
Really light. It's really just chocolatey. There's no bitterness.
Yeah. It's actually the closest taste to hot chocolate to me. Yeah.
I love Forever Cacao. That's like
me too.
Been my partner on my journey so far.
Yeah. This is Rukush Uliu from the Guatemalan women near Lake Atitlan, San Marcos, and Rukush Ulius mean heart of earth. So cacao tastes different around the world, and I guess my two favorite Forever Cacao, this one.
Mine too now. Thank you for guiding me to this.
Oh, you're welcome.
I am. It's okay. I'm going to grab my Florida water. I feel the need. What is this?
Agua de Florida.
Yeah.
I did not like that when I was in
You
the
did not like
jungle.
it?
It's the alcohol.
Yeah, I just like it really kind of like aligns me.
Yeah, alcohol has the power of cleansing. That's the spirit of
Yeah,
alcohol.
yeah. And just, I feel a bit flustered for some reason. So I'm just, yeah.
It's the excitement.
It is excitement. It's just this energy, but like from you that I always feel, and it's amazing.
Oh.
In a good way.
Okay. I'm like,
let's talk about cacao, shall we? Because it's like a bit of an honor, isn't it, to her to, whilst you're drinking her, to you know, like your path maybe, or I'll share some of mine. And
so my path with plant medicine started in Amazon when we were volunteering and embarking on quite a few medicine in there, and one of the main was ayahuasca as well. We volunteered for 6 weeks, and in total in the jungle for 8 weeks. 2 weeks ayahuasca and other plant medicine, and that really kind of opens up in a more grounded way. It made me feel that I have a place on earth, And that was after I started to channel. Even when I started to channel, I felt slightly unground, and there's this inner wounds of wanting to leave, wanting to just kind of that avoidance and escape mentality. But and then we came back into Bangkok, and I still don't quite know what's my role in Bangkok here. And I was born here, but I kind of always felt that I'm kind of the black sheep, and I don't quite know how to put myself, how to connect with others. And there was one time I remember that ayahuasca came to me in a vision as a serpent, and she told me that, you know, I haven't fully quite integrated all of what I received from her yet. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean exactly? And then at the same time, Cacao would be coming up from my friends, from online. I'm like, And at the same time, I was going through deep griefs. Quite a few dear people fall out, and it meant to happen. The connection meant to be finished, but it brought up a lot of deep griefs within me. So I decided to order Forever Cacao. Oh, it's from Peru. I was in Peru.
Yeah.
Let's just welcome her in. And then I prepare myself a full shamanic dose of 45 grams, and I cried. And within the journey, I saw myself offer cacao to others. So that's kind of started the whole integrating whatever you do with cacao ceremony, light language and sound, and my path towards shamanism just grow in a way that cacao guided me to meet people that brought in Mayan elder, and then my path to guide me into looking deeper into Burya Mongolian shamanism. And at the same time, cacao has always been an ally for me when I need the most. When waves of depression comes, when wave of sadness come, cacao's always been there. And when I need an extra push of creativity, when I plan out new project that triggers a lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt, I'm like, Cacao, come on, just sit and plan. And she's great for creative flow, isn't she?
Yeah, really is.
Yeah. So that's
I'm just gonna say, it's like, obviously you were getting to travel the world whilst you were doing that, and seeing these places where, you know, these plant medicines come from as well. But our paths have been quite similar in the sense of, you know, that what you've just explained. And I think that's kind of the same for a lot of people. People fall away, we go through grief and, you know, on this path, don't we? And cacao for me has done that. It was kind of the first thing she offered me was support whilst I was clearing and going through some kind of grief.
Yeah.
And then it changes, it shifts. It's almost like she knows what you need.
Yeah. Because I always tell others that if I have to compare cacao and ayahuasca is very much like, okay, here's the cliff, you go off into your own abyss, into your own fear. You're going to meet your deeper self, and this is why I'm here for you. While cacao is very much like, this is where you need to meet. However, I'm just going to hold you according to your readiness. Yeah.
So in terms of like your abilities, your channeling, is that something you've always had? Or did that happen later as you grew, or?
I guess I don't recall a lot of memory when I was a baby and when I was really young, but I start remembering that I hated school. Everyone does. It's not abnormal, but it's very much like how I was, because my mother put me in a Catholic school, and I really don't resonate with the strictness of it. So I always feel that I was an outcast, and I always sink into my imagination and my little world, and I always pretend that I can go through walls and slipped into ancient Egypt time. It's just that being alone and play with imagination. And then I hit into eating disorders, social anxiety, suicidal, and I live with those ways for over 10 years. And I remember there was one that I that we were in Paris due to my mom's work. And we were living 20 something floor, and I stood on the window frame and I was just about to let go. I'm like, that's it, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know why I'm here, I'm just gonna let go. And I felt something pull my sleeve, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I stepped back, and I'm like, there's something more to that, and there's something more that why I'm so sensitive, why I can't seem to find the sense of belonging in this structured world. And it took me a while coming back to my art, and then I started to meditate to expand my creativity with my art. And after that, it's just opened more doors, meeting people, talking about oracle cards, talking about this, talking about that, and then
Sharing that. Oh, that's beautiful. Obviously not that you got to that point of that feeling, but beautiful that you managed to turn it around and look where you are now. And it's
I'm happy, and I feel that with all this spiritual service that I offer and I connect with people, I have this deep knowing that this is a kind of my way out from the old karmic imprint, or from the old attachment that I have experienced for so long, again and again and again and again. And it gets challenging sometimes, especially with depression and sadness. And sometimes, just a few days ago, I did get into that victim self. I got into, oh, I can't do things. Old narrative that rise. And it's just about being there and being aware, and let it pass to me compassionately more and more and more. Yeah.
observing it rather than letting it get in.
Yeah, it did got in.
Yeah. Sure.
But hey ho, that's life.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's lessons, isn't it? It's always lessons. And the way that you share your experiences. And I say this, I mean, the amount of times that I've messaged you and said, that's really crazy, I woke up and I thought of this, and then I read the first post I saw was you, and you've said exactly the same thing. So it's what you're channeling is really relevant to you, but it's really relevant to everybody. And I think when you are taking on this role of conduit, channel, way shower, however you want to see it, that's one thing you have to kind of acknowledge sometimes, isn't it? That the message is for you, but it's also for everybody, or a lot of people. So
That's how I flow, really, because sharing is too a kind of expressing, and is a kind of releasing. But yeah, we need to be mindful of the tone and the energy that we release along the sharing. But it's a great lesson for me, because I brought into the programming of comparison, and especially is amplify a lot in social media, like the numbers, followers, how many people see my posts, etc. And I'm just really being mindful with this, and remind myself that I'm sharing just because the joy of sharing. That's it.
Yeah, that's been a big thing for me, actually. I've found social media can be like soul sucking at times. And then, but if you can just keep in that mindset of, I'm doing this because this is my creative outlet, that, because there is like a calling with it, isn't there? Sometimes that it's not just, if you bring something through, it's not just for you, it has to be shared. And it's like trusting that the right people will find it.
Yeah, and social media have their own programming, their own agenda, but everything is a tool, and if we can use it to share and uplift one another, isn't it a good thing, though?
Yeah.
So.
I think that's one thing that shamanism has really taught me, is that everything is a tool. Like everything.
Yeah, boo.
Yeah. And shamanism for me, just to bring that into it, has a bit like what you said about those moments of like not belonging and feeling ungrounded. Shamanism is that grounding. It's like that cord for me that keeps me connected to the mother, keeps me connected to Pachamama. And I feel it in myself. I feel that I'm more grounded. And then what came from that was, I understand this conduit thing more now, because that's what we're doing. We're bringing this energy into the earth, and raising it that way. And because before, and I know a lot of people are like this, they think we're heading somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So shamanism for me, that has been the biggest thing that it has given me, is that connection to everything comes through connection to the earth.
Yeah, and it's an innate ability within humans. I know that within the old ages and old school shamanism, shamans seems to be the odd one out, etc. But I feel that within this new paradigm of consciousness, people are recalling that this is an innate ability. And it just depends whether you take that responsibility or not. And since we talk about shamanism, I would like to put it out there as well that if you Google what shamanism means, there tends to be definition towards the special ability of seeing, special ability to heal. That is one thing, but the core of shamanism is the partaking of responsibility of bringing balance. So I mean, anyone in this time can see. Anyone in this time can connect now. But the key is, how can we see with compassion? How we can connect and bring balance and be mindful of the seduction and temptation of the world. Yeah.
About being in the heart, isn't it? And the heart for me is balance, because it's the meeting point of above and below.
Yes. The heart is the center of one universe.
Anubis has just popped up.
Ooh. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, he told me that the high priest label that he was given is what we would now interpret as a shaman. He walked between worlds. He accompanied people through their journey. So yeah, it's an unprogramming of what we're taught and relearning what we feel to be the truth. And for me, that really applies to shamanism. I think a lot of people, maybe it's just a British thing. This is just, take it if it resonates, whoever's listening, but British people, maybe not just British people, but shamanism gets a bad rap. It gets like quite a dark connotation attached to it, and it's not.
It's not, and there's many wounds that attach to us. There's wounds of fear of being manipulated, fear of dark magic, and also wounds of colonization, which is a lot in the Western world. That comes through the phrase of cultural appropriation. And I get that. There needs to be a respect. There needs to be a true deep inner work to really say, okay, I'm doing shamanic work and I'm here to help you. Not just I'm doing shamanic work, I'm here to rip you off. That's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And but there's a book called written by Sarang Guerrero. She's a Beria Mongolian shaman. She passed away already, and she wrote clearly that spirit calling, the spirit guide, they do not choose borders. Shaman can jump across culture. So I feel that it's like you said, it's the matter of the heart, and it is the matter of knowing that it is a responsibility. It's not something to be worn as a thing that asks for admiration or asks for fame. That's very seductive in this modern world. So yeah.
Oh, it's so lovely. And what that just kind of brought together for me was at the beginning, mentioning about all the taking in the little different parts of all the paths. And that's really what a modern kind of terminology of shaman feels like for me, is because sometimes I connect with the archangels, sometimes I connect with Anubis, sometimes I just want to get into that real earthly, sit with my drum, and it's all so powerful. So yeah.
I feel too. I'm grateful that I come from the East, because the East too have a very strong mindfulness teaching, and that is too very crucial for any spiritual practices. To be mindful and be aware of the power that we have, and the power that can be manipulated, both positive or negative. So I feel that this probably linked to how a lot of shamanic culture along the east and the eastern Siberian side merge with Buddhism, Even here in Thailand, there's a lot of magic. There's a lot of magical tool that passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's hidden within monks, hidden within temples. Yeah.
Right. Should we move on to light language?
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my journey so far, because it would be interesting to see your thoughts on it. So it started, I had a big chunk of work last year and lots of soul readings. And mine are very different to yours. Mine are shown to me that I communicate with the soul, and the soul tells me a story. So sometimes it's related to the Akashic records. Sometimes it's just the soul's like, right, I'm here, listen. And I just have to write down what it tells me. And sometimes it can be a story or an image. And so a lot of them were shamanic ancestors, and they were talking this language to me. So I'm sat here and I'm like, Ra, Ka, like writing it down, like interpreting it, and like writing it down, thinking that they're talking to me in their language, and it's just another worldly language. And so then this went on for a few readings, and then a few months went by, and all of a sudden you and a few other people just started appearing in my news feeds. And it's kind of, this is how the universe works, isn't it? It's like drops little things in, little seeds, and then when you're ready, you start to pick up on them. And so then I was watching your videos, some of your videos, and this other lady in America and other people. And then all of a sudden, it was just, I saw that image, the one prominent soul reading I remember of these ancestors sitting around a fire, giving me that message. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. And then once I kind of made that connection, it started to come through. And that was about a year ago, and I've only just got brave enough to start to speak it or share it. And because your mind gets in the way, or for me, my mind got in the way in the beginning of trying to understand it. And it's like, you've just got to feel it. And that's when you begin to understand it. So that's my little bit about light language. So how did it start for you? And yeah, give us what you know.
It started by, I came across a few people, and I always very selective to who I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And first reaction, I was like, yo, how did they do that? And then I kind of let it subside, and I started to connect with crystals. And there's this one Nirvana quartz down there that I connected, I held in my hand, and then the words started to come, and I started, like you, start writing down and pronounce it like karaoke, just pronounce it in syllables, etc., in sounds. And it's just like you, like it's not going to be figured through linguistic. I mean, some people get the interpretation, but that their perspective of the transmission. It doesn't encompass the whole spectrum of what that transmission can do. So it's a multi-dimensional thing. And this is something very ancient as well. Like people that goes to church, they have said that people speaking in tongues when they feel certain vibration. And two, within shamanism, they communicate. And it's again been written in this Buryan Mongolian shamanism books that it has been reported that when they got into the zone with spirit, that the shaman, the conduit, or the ongun, the one that housed the spirit, begins to speaking in tongue or any language that no one understands. And this is all the manifestation of the vibration affecting us as instrument. I feel, some people dance, some people shake, some people sing, some people do all of that.
Forgot to mention, actually, the singing came along the side of it. I just had this urge all the time to come out here, play my drum, and I'd be humming and singing. I even brought through a song, and then that's when it kind of became a bit more embodied in me, I think. So I think like yours, maybe with your art, I think it comes with a form of creativity, doesn't it, to allow you to embody it, perhaps? I'm still learning.
Yeah. My art is a very different relationship as an act of channeling, because within the art piece, the journey and the act of being engaged with that energy is a bit longer than a session or a ceremony or just one transmission. It's like a journey that before I kind of overlooked how it can affect my body, how much energy I need, how much time I need, and now I'm learning to respect the limitation of my shoulders, the limitation of my back, and the limitation of my body, and give myself more time just to go into the art. And it's very different, because when I tune into people for custom art, I would get an energy or an image, or I would get a glimpse of the energy of the client a little bit before I start sitting with them. And as I paint, I learn to let go of the insistence of how the image will turn out. And that's quite challenging for artists, because artists will have, okay, I'm just gonna turn it out like this because I'm a skilled artist, but spirit gonna, no, you do it that way. It's gonna turn out that way. And yeah, it's a very different dance. It's a very different dance. And I'm looking forward to paint some of my own stuff soon too. It's for the nurturing of the soul.
And that, what you've just explained, that's like giving you an opportunity to master that ability as a conduit, isn't it? To kind of step out of the way and just let that energy flow through. So you can see how it's beautiful.
In a way that you're very awakened, in a way that you're very aware, because your hand has to move, your eyes have to open, right? And it's a very different state of channeling. Yeah.
And so with light language, my feeling, and I'm not going to say this will probably change, but I see people that say it's Lyran, it's Syrian, it's all these different kind of galactic dialects or something. But sometimes they can be channeled through different people so differently. So there's a soul, there's like a uniqueness to it, isn't there? Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's always going to align mostly to each individual soul template's frequency. And it can feel very much like the Lion communicating, the Syrian communicating, Arturian communicating, whatever, but it's always going to be from that person's soul archetype. Because when you are being the conduit, really you're hardly going to channel something that is out of alignment from your soul frequency, because what flows effortlessly the most is something that match your original template of the soul frequency.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that I guess that's how I can explain it in this moment of time, and I don't really try to figure out anymore where it comes from. I mean, it helps just to tell people, okay, this is that. But personally, I find it's just best just to let it flow and feel it.
So how, do you feel it coming on? How do you know? Yeah.
It always speaks to urges, like your body, your physical body will respond. It will speak to the urges of you want to sing. Sometimes many people describe as you probably hear that under the certain kind of tone, and you just want to sing it out or move along with it. And again, I feel that it's a very innate thing. Like the birds have their song, the bee have their dance of communication, the whales have their song. Each of and the human too have a different path of discover their soul song, our soul song, so to speak. Sometimes in a channeling session, I will be tuning in to the person, and if I need to go deeper, I then will use certain kind of song, certain kind of tone to create space and to allow me to let that voice or that tone to be the string of frequency for me to go in deeper. It can be anything really. It's a tool.
It is a tool.
It is a tool.
No, I totally relate to that actually, because you kind of, for me, it's been more personal so far. So I know something needs to connect, but I'm not on that frequency yet. And then just these sounds will need to come out. And then once those sounds have come out, then that next I'm there, then I've matched that frequency, and then it comes through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've heard many shamans and especially in Amazon they obtain a song from plant from their ancestors to communicate with spirit and to create space and to invoke the power of the medicine, and as well as I've seen this interview on Gaia, I can't remember anymore, but there's shaman speaks that he used sound to enhance the healing and also to allow him to tune into the energy deeper. Yeah.
How about with Cacao? Have you, because again, she has really enhanced my journey with light language, and channeling her. I've got like voice notes or like notes on my phone where I've come out here and connected with her, and she's like, right, I need to talk. And so I'm just like, and then I'll be like, this language will come through, and I'm like, oh, thanks for that. Sometimes you have no idea, like on a human level, what it means, but there's just this feeling again that, wow, that was powerful.
Yeah, plant medicine always communicate to us through the voice of our higher selves. Um, I can't remember when was the last time I spoke as Cacao, but I feel that it's all apply to when we drink cacao and the energy that we share within this interview, these chats as well. We speak through the vibration of Cacao because she's in our body, she's in our
We've
space.
created this space, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember anymore. When was the last time I wrote in her voice? Maybe I should try that again.
Yeah. And so mentioning the higher self, you always uh, connect it to Sirius, don't you? To Syrian beings, the higher self.
Lately it has been potent. Lyran always my dominant vibration, and this is because it aligns with my lesson in this time. The lesson that the Lyran went through matches the lesson that I'm going through. And the Lyran, the Conqueror template also really loudly on this land. And there's two Lyran, which are the guardians of the land, that is more matched with the frequency of the Syrian. Now, the Syrian, Michael, naturally more Syrian than me, and I feel that it's because he's from South Africa and he's just born in nature and more connected to animals, while I have always been living in a concrete jungle. But recently, in these few years, when I travel around Thailand, especially through the places that has ancient forest, ancient waterfall, I feel this Syrian energy. You just know intuitively that, okay, the Syrian energy in here, and I feel that they very much of the first layers of energy template that how magic have been wielded. And magic encompasses how elements are wielded, how trees speaks, how minerals speaks, and this too links back to the Mu consciousness of other than the Anunnaki. There's Mu people, the people that comes to Earth and learn to love to live with Earth with respects and to live with her resources. So, and this is why the magic has been hidden, and this is why now, well, how magic has been hidden through fear, through superstitions, through distortion of lust, of greed, of material, especially here. People would go rap on a tree to look for lottery numbers. Really, and when I looked into my old stuff, I can see numbers, and I'm like, really? But I don't go into the lottery realm because I can't get past the greed template yet. But yeah, it's just how it's been distorted. But magic is always there, and how Syrian and the magic of Earth coming back to us through our higher self, I feel is just the most relevant thing, because it's just like how shamanism is returning, magic is returning, and it's going to return through the voice and through the wheel of the higher self, not the wheel of the egoic personality, because that's when we starting to blow ourselves up. and I guess come back to cacao, because cacao is such a hard medicine, and she is just so important, such an important medicine of this time as well, to remind us of that we can experience the law with gratitude, we can connect with our creative sources, etc.
Powerful, so beautiful to watch you then. That was you, but that was something else. You.
Yeah, I find I have to close my eyes from time to time, otherwise my trails of thought will jump too much. But if I close my eyes and just speak, then it's a bit more fluid.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that really just felt for me like everything just came together then. Cacao was really assisting you in bringing all of that information to us.
Thank you.
And so do you see it as so obviously we're a soul and we have a higher self, but we're kind of connected to this group of souls, like the monad, or in esoteric um, it's called the monad, or like the oversoul, where we feed back to a higher soul all this information. So do you see kind of like your Lyran counterpart as one of those higher selves, or like how does it work for you, that kind of understanding of we're bigger than what we are? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. It makes sense. A lot of things come through. It has to do with the knowing that everything is multidimensional, and my Lyran self coexists with Nalini self in this moment of time, and Nalini past self also coexists simultaneously in this moment of time. So myself, perhaps as a channel back then, or as a person that lives far in the forest, being a hermit in a mountain, to know and aware that there's the consciousness and the part, or the fractal that exists as Nalini in this moment of time. And this is what I see when we are able to have this vision or experience or dreams or shamanic journey, as we dance with our ancestors or have a chat with our shaman guides, with our teachers. These are all coexist simultaneously. And now I would have to borrow the explanation of Bashar. Bashar explained that there's an oversoul, and I can probably compare this to the teaching of Akhenaten, how he said that don't worship the sun, but contemplate on the light that makes the sun shine. So it's very much like there's an oversoul, and that's the light that makes the sun shine. And when the sun shines into different rays, there's a different facet of higher self, different multi-dimensional self, and these different rays and different fractals, and then experience themselves as different beings and different timelines. And with that perception, I can too bring into the perception that Gemma is too part of my oversoul. People that trigger me the most, the anger and frustration, are too perhaps part of my oversoul, that here to show me another side of paradox, or another side of the coin, etc. So we can always bring this and really integrate the view of true compassion towards one another.
Yeah. Oh, it just fills me with so much joy, because it's like that's exactly how I feel in my own language. You put it so beautifully, but yeah, that's exactly it. And it's like even this concept then that we're the higher self to that older version of ourselves at times. And it is a lot to get your head around, but it's just so amazing.
Yeah, and I guess the key is not to get trapped into the memory of the past life, or just know that everything coexists in this moment of now, and it's by choice that we
Yeah.
can choose to bring for whatever it is that serve.
Yeah, and I guess so then the memories that do appear to us, they're for a reason, to assist us in our journey in, you know, clearing or progressing.
Yeah.
Something that came into my mind and it's gone now that I was going to ask you. Oh no, it's gone. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter. It wasn't meant to be. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, we've spoken about so much. Anything you feel you need to kind of end on?
I can offer a little bit of transmission.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
Mm.
since there's a lot of excitement jumping around, so inviting us all to come back into our hearts and breathe. Really welcome oxygen into the body deeply and gently in each of your own rhythm. And now, and in each breath, allow the body to become softened, to release any tension. And return into the heart. And through the breath, go deeper than the top layer of the chest, deeper into center of your being, however that may feel. Feel the pulsation of the heart, pulsation of life that runs through us all, that connects us with the pulsation of earth and the sky and all in all. Remember that everything, a stream of energy, stream of consciousness. Observe. Witness from the heart. And swim with joy. Swim with awareness.
Wow. I just went on this kind of like fast track run through a jungle. Then I was on a mountain sitting on the edge and I was looking out at the sunset. Then I was naked and I was lying down. Then there was this moss grass underneath me. And then I dived into some water. That was just fascinating.
All
And
that
very,
from that bit.
yeah. I was like, whoa, Gemma, don't just let it go. Don't get in the way. Just go with this. And at one point there was this thought that came in, and I was like, Michael's going to come in now and play his didgeridoo.
I had that thought too. It's because we've been working together for not up to a year yet, but every time I do my shaking and do my singing, it feels like there's a part of him gonna go
Yeah.
something that I
And he
can't
was
do.
missing.
Next time.
Oh, yeah, next time. Let's do this again. Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
was so powerful. Thank you. Oh, Nalini, thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to express. It's fun. It's fun to have someone initiate the question and allow me to express my point of view and my experience. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, well, I hope everyone enjoyed. And yeah, we'll do this again. Yeah, right. Thank you. Bye bye.